Hi, welcome to another episode of Agram to Zodiac. The topic I wanted to discuss today has been in my mind for a while. For some reason, I never got to it. A phone call I got 2 weeks ago triggered my interest in doing this. I'm talking about students going overseas for studies from India. Having done that myself, I thought I'll share my experience with you, even though it has been few years now. Some things don't change. Now, I'm going to divide this topic into four different compartments. You can categorize it into before you take the flight and after you land. Before you take the flight, so there are certain things you need to be very careful about in making the decision to start with. Why do you want to go abroad? Why do you want to do studies abroad? Is it because you think that India doesn't have the specialty you want? Perfect. You have the answer. Or is it just because of the foreign craze typically we all have? I was one, I should confess. Think about it carefully. Which one is it? If you seriously think that India doesn't have the course, have you done the homework properly? There are a lot of universities we have in India that have real good education for both masters, post graduation, and obviously, if you want to go all the way to PhD, there are a lot of universities that provide that. So, all I'm saying is just keep that question in your mind, why you want to go overseas. Second thing is, what do you want to do? What course do you want to do? That determines how your future looks like, your career prospects look like. So you need to be very clear on what course you want to do. How do you decide that? What is your passion? What are you passionate about? What is your undergraduation? Have you been working in the industry for a while before you are trying to go to do post graduation, or are you straight after your undergraduation? Are you going? You need to think carefully about what sort of course you want to do, and accordingly you go and do the homework on university. I have seen students choose the country before they choose the course. Just because they like a country, just because the country looks beautiful in photos, they choose the country. Do not do that. That is not the order you should be going. So just be extra careful in how you approach it. So very clear, you need to be very clear on the study, the course, the specialty you want to do. Accordingly, you go and do the research on which university is better. Some universities are good in MBA. Some universities are really good for engineering. Some are good for medicine. So you need to think carefully, depending on the course of study you are choosing, which university is better in which country. Then comes the fees aspect of things. How much it is going to cost you? When I say fees, I'm not just talking about the tuition fees. There are a lot more factors you need to account for. Living expense, for example. Other education related expenses you need to factor in. So when you're doing the homework, you need to start thinking about this as well. Especially if you're going for education loan, so you just need to be careful where you're going, how much it's going to cost you to do the education. If in your mind you think that you will stay back in the country you are going to and repay the loan and you will set up your life there, think twice. Things have changed drastically in the last 10 to 15 years. There was a time when the countries wanted the overseas students to stay back and develop their economy. Not anymore. Most of the countries want the students to get out after the studies, because you're going there for studies, the course finishes, they want you to get out. Be careful about that as well, because that will affect your financial position significantly. If you're having that in your mind, have a plan B as well. That's all I'm saying. I'm not discouraging anyone. All I'm saying is have a plan B. If you are coming to Australia, if you don't get a visa, what happens? Think about Singapore. Can you go to Singapore with the specialization you're going with? Is there a market in Singapore for your career, for your specialization, for your studies, field of study you're doing? That is all I'm saying. Just have a plan B if the country doesn't let you stay back. Having said that, let me give you a positive story as well at this point. I know someone who came to Australia for their bachelor's, 4 years bachelor's study. They did the study so well, the university themselves sponsored them, the student, to stay back for another 3.5 years and do a direct PhD without doing masters. So by the time this candidate will come out of the country, they will have a PhD, they'll be a doctor. So it is in your hands. If you do well, yes, the government will want you, the university themselves will want you. Right, coming back to before taking the flight. You have decided on the course, you have decided on the university, you have worked out, done the homework on fees, living expense, etc. Now, the application process. Again, before COVID, the universities used to come to India. Every year, they used to have open days, physical open days in the country where you can go and ask all sort of questions. All your doubts can be clarified. Professors will be there for you to ask questions specific to the field of study you want to take. Because of COVID, that's not happening. But every single university is having a virtual open day. It gives you the flexibility and freedom to attend one or more or all open days depending on your interest and to understand what the university is doing in your field of study. Obviously, they are going to pretty much tell everything and anything what they are good at, which you want to know, and you might want to ask questions about career prospects after the course is done. Okay, you will have a chance to meet everyone in the university during that session. So it's a great opportunity you should not miss. Even if you are thinking 12 months out to go to any country for that matter, you can do that homework now because that will give you a thinking whether that particular university or that particular country will be suitable when you are ready. So you might want to keep an eye out for the open days that are coming, that are happening as we speak. They have it year around, all year around. So keep an eye on that. Try to attend that. It gives you enough information. From an application standpoint, obviously the university will give you the criteria. But beyond that, certain things you have to be careful about depending on the country you go to. For example, if you are thinking about Australia, they have IELTS, the English exam, proficiency in English. So that is something you need to get ready for, you need to prepare for. If you are going to UK or US, they have TOEFL and other exams. So just be mindful of what sort of exams or expectation they have on the eligibility criteria and get ready for that. This is one other aspect I would like to add is how you go about applying. If you are someone who can just go all the way yourself, well and good, just do it. Talk to the university, they will help you. You can apply and keep going. Alternative is to use a consultant, an agent in India who can help you with this. They have done this time and time again. They have been doing this for years. For example, IDP is one company I have used, one consultant I have used years ago. They know what they are doing. They know how to fill the application. They know which university is good at what and when that application cycle opens and closes. It is not compulsory you have to go with them. And again, I don't have any affiliation to IDP. It is just that I used them years ago, I just mentioned. So you might want to do the research on that as well if you would like to use a consultant for your application. Now, so before taking the flight, you have done all this homework, you know what you are getting into. One other thing which I would like to put in both categories, both sides, before and after, is mindset. What do I mean by that? I want you to be very clear of your objective. Yes, the country, a foreign country, first time you are going, that will interest you a lot. You can have fun during semester breaks and whatnot, but the end game for the initiative you are taking is coming out of the course successfully with real good marks. That paper you will get from the university is going to dictate how your career path will be. So keep that in mind. Get your mind ready for a very tough 2 years. The education system in any foreign country is quite different. The approach is quite different to what we are used to in India. So you need to be ready for that. It is not, I've seen students who have gotten shock in the first semester itself and they have come back. They have changed subjects, they have changed course itself because they couldn't handle. Again, it is the reality. I'm not frightening you, but that is the reality. I've seen it firsthand. So just get your mindset ready for a tough 2 years, and your goal should be getting it right, getting out of the course successfully. And as I said, you do have options to get scholarship to go beyond that. And I should mention, I do have a friend who finished a master's in Australia and he started or joined the Air Force. Australian Air Force. Again, who'd have thought? That is also an option. So opportunities are there for you. All you have to do is get the objective right, close your subject or finish your course successfully with real good marks. The doors will open for you. The next one I want to tell you is part-time. Now, I touched on the fees, the living expense as well. There is an option for you when you go to any country for that matter, you can do part-time. There are two ways to look at it. One, again, I have seen both categories. One is to look at the part-time as something that gives you the money just to get by from a living expense standpoint and to distract yourself from the stress of your studies if you get stressful. The other aspect which I have seen work very well for a friend of mine is they wanted the part-time to be in line with the course they were doing. So they started working for a company free of cost during their studies. They were so good in what they did, the company gave them the job straight after the course and also applied for a permanent resident visa. Again, something to keep in mind. Don't jump the gun now itself. It is something you need to keep in mind when you land and when you start looking for a part-time. Again, it will help a lot in your living expense. Whatever you take, I loved the work I did. It taught me a lot and it taught me the value of money for starters beyond everything else. So, leave it to you how you want to balance the work you have in the university and the part-time job you take. Okay, but that is always a possibility for you to take on. Career path is something I like you to think about. The course you take need to give you a solid career path moving on. Which country doesn't matter. But you need to be very careful. That comes back to the first point of choosing the subject right. The jobs we have today did not exist 10 years ago. You need to look into the future. What is your career path going to look like? What specialization are you taking and what is the industry doing? You need to have a close connect into what the industry is looking at as next 5 to 10 years. And you need to be very careful when you choose the subject itself. Okay. Now, one thing I need to warn you is something I read in the news a couple of days ago, just 2 days ago. It was on the Times of India. Every single day, average at least one case is being filed with the police in India about students and workers getting cheated by fraudsters. It goes back to the point I was telling you about using consultants and agents. Just keep that in mind because if you go down that path, you want to choose reputed agencies, reputed consultants who want to help you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Hope this was helpful. As I said, I just wanted to give you some pointers while you go through this process. Hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, please put it on the comment section. I'll try to answer whatever in whatever ways I can. I did have the experience of guiding and helping few students along the way in the last 15 years who came to Australia. So in that sense, I do have some experience in some of these areas. So again, all the best to you, and I'll meet you in the next video.